Welcome back to Casual Watch Reviews. This week we're looking at a watch from one of my favourite independent brands. This brand started when I started my YouTube channel. At that time they were very much a micro brand, but now they've evolved into a true independent American watch brand, and that is Vaer. A couple of weeks ago we looked at their chronograph. This week we're looking at a new version of their take on a Dirty Dozen watch. This is their AmeriQuartz version in 40mm. I'm going to take a deep dive into this watch. So let's flip the camera around and dive straight in. Here is the C5 Dirty Dozen 40mm AmeriQuartz watch from Vaer. That is quite a mouthful as a name for a watch, but also very descriptive about what this watch is. This is a 40mm quartz Dirty Dozen style watch. They also make a version in 36mm in quartz, and they also have mechanical options as well for this watch. So if you wanted to go for that more classic 36mm size, which is more synonymous, I guess, with the Dirty Dozen styling, they do offer that as well. This watch is using Vaer's AmeriQuartz movement. This is an American assembled movement, but the parts are sourced from the US and abroad. For this particular AmeriQuartz movement, the ECB, the electronic circuit board, that is designed and made in the US and then assembled along with components from around the world. And that's very similar with how the watches work as well. Unfortunately, at the moment, the current state of the US watchmaking industry is that you can't really make 100% US made watch, certainly not at this scale. They are really trying hard to source as many components as they can in the US, and that's why these watches say assembled in America on the dial instead of made in America. But essentially, it is a quartz movement. There is a little bit of a quirk with this quartz movement, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But let's just start with the design of this watch. So this is using, I would say, Dirty Dozen style, and that is become synonymous with this dial, highly legible hands, and the small seconds. Dirty Dozen, if you're not familiar with the term, you might confuse it with a film from the 60s with Lee Marvin, which was a film based in World War II. Easy to make that assumption, but what it refers to is 12 watch manufacturers who made watches in World War II for the Allied forces. They were given a military spec, so a lot of them ended up looking like this. Now, what is interesting is this small seconds design, which has become synonymous with the Dirty Dozen design, was actually what the British and the Europeans used for their military watches. The American military watches from World War II had central seconds, so I think that's quite interesting. But if they'd done a central seconds watch and called it a Dirty Dozen, I think a lot of people would have commented on it because this is the design that's become synonymous with Dirty Dozen. This is a larger version of that. It's a 40mm case, which I think wears really nicely. I'll do some wrist shots and we'll also try different strap options. This is their rubber strap. They also sent this nylon one that you can see off to the side. We'll definitely put it on a NATO so you can see that towards the end. This is using one of Vaer's designed cases. I've talked to both Ryan and Reagan about this, where one of the things that they were very conscious of when they started the watch company was guaranteeing the water resistance. So this is 100-meter water resistance, and they will guarantee that, which sounds strange, but my understanding is a lot of other watch companies don't actually guarantee their water resistance, whereas Vaer do, and that's because they came from a surfing and ocean loving background, so they realize how important water resistance is. That's one of their things that they concentrate on. And also, they didn't want to use off-the-shelf cases, so they have these really nice industrial brushed cases, more refined as well, so they wear very well. Here you can see a quick shot on my 7.2-inch wrist. With it being a quartz watch as well, it's also quite slender, this coming in at 11.4mm. They say the case is 40mm, but it comes in at just shy about 39.4-ish, as we can see here. And then from lug to lug, if I just use the calipers again, that's coming in at a 48 from lug to lug. Very wearable. And as I say, if you're worried about this being a little too big, they do offer this in a 36mm as well. I think quartz is a good option, and it's coming in at only $300, which for an American assembled watch, I think is quite a good price. In fact, I think it's a very good price. The watch has a screw down crown, and let's just concentrate on that quirk that I was telling you about of the movement. So if I pull this out, and if you notice that it jumped back a second when I pulled the crown out, and then when you push it in, it jumps forward another second. So it keeps time, but when you first pull out the crown, it is a little bit jarring because you're like, oh, it's jumped back a second. Quite an interesting quirk, and I did check, and this isn't a defect of the movement, it's a quirk of the movement's design. The inner, the small seconds, has a radial pattern to the dial, which gives it quite a nice look, but the rest of the dial is matte. It does have quite a nice loom shot that I'll throw in here. Plenty of loom on this, which is another hallmark of Vaer. The hands aren't technically in keeping with what a Dirty Dozen watch has, but these are Vaer designed hands, so a mixture between a sword and a syringe hand. Overall, a highly legible dial. Usually I'm not a fan of watches without the date, but I do quite like the simplicity of this design. Here is the watch on my 7.2-inch wrist. It wears really well, that low profile of 11.4 millimeters. I love how the crown is nicely proportioned. They sent it me on this Vaer rubber strap, a little tiny bit like a waffle strap. All the Vaer straps are quick release as well, so I'll just quickly swap it over to the nylon. Here it is on the other strap that Vaer included with it, which is the Vaer 2-piece tan nylon strap. There's another possible option. I think this would look quite good on a number of straps. I've got a few from my watch strap box that we'll have a quick look at. This isn't a Vaer strap, but here's an option on an alligator strap as well. I think this watch could pull off a number of different strap options, but the one that we haven't done yet, which we have to do, let's swap it out onto a NATO. This had to be done, didn't it? Putting it on a NATO strap. So here it is on Vaer's NATO strap, or as they call it, their fabric strap, I believe, because of course that clown here in the US patented the name or trademarked the name NATO strap. So that means that no US company can use the term NATO strap any longer. But regardless of that, I think it looks really good on this NATO strap. In fact, it looks good on all of them. What did you think? That was Vaer's take on the Dirty Dozen watch. Let me know in the comments section down below. If you want to help out the channel, really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the upload, give it a thumbs up, and join us on the live streams if you want to get involved in the conversation live with us on a Sunday. And I'll see you next time on Casual Watch Reviews.